Welcome to SORMAG's Writers Cafe, where we share the real writer's life over a cup of friendship, sprinkled with laughter and wisdom. My name is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I am your host for today. This episode's sponsor is Tickle My Tummy by Ann Clay. Today at the cafe, sitting with me is Sheila Bell, Mary Finley, and Kendy Ward. Welcome, ladies.
Hi, LaShaunda.
Hello, LaShaunda.
Good evening, LaShaunda.
All right, so I'm super excited to talk to these ladies. I have known them for a long time, so it's going to be a good conversation. All right, we're going to start with Miss Sheila. Sheila, tell us a little bit about who you are, what you write, and your current book.
Well, first of all, I just want to say I appreciate you for having me join you this evening. I'm just so excited to be among Mary and Kennedy and yourself, LaShaunda. So thank you for all that you do for the literary industry. I just can't sing your praises enough, but I do want to just make everyone aware of how important and vital you are to us. Well, and after saying that, yes, my name is Sheila E. Bell, formerly Sheila Lipsy. I've been writing for over 20-plus years. I'm an award-winning national best-selling author. I have 30-plus books published in faith-based fiction, women's fiction, young adult genres, and nonfiction. My books have, thankfully and with God's favor, garnered numerous awards and accolades, including several Shades of Romance magazine awards. So I think those were some of the very first awards I got was through SORMAG. So that has really been exciting to me, something that I'll always cherish, LaShaunda. But my career began in 1999 around that time, and I write true-to-life stories, and I call those stories perfect stories about imperfect people like you and me. I'm quite passionate about what I do, about helping others and encouraging others and promoting people to live their dreams. I truly believe in that, having overcome many obstacles myself, contracting at age 2 polio, and when I was 18 months old, I underwent open heart surgery. So 6 months after that, I had polio. So I battled polio all of my life. So I had to find things that I could do because physically there were many limitations that I had and that I still have. But I'm just so grateful that God blessed me with a sound mind and gave me insight and gave me talents that I can use mentally rather than physically. So I'm passionate about what I do, and I'm passionate about, pushing other people to live their dreams and to just push the button for excellence. I'm also the founder of a nonprofit organization called Black Writers and Book Clubs Literacy Association, or the BWABC, which promotes literacy one community at a time, and was founded by me in Memphis, Tennessee, where we held a book club festival, literacy festival, that garnered writers from all over the United States, preferably and most fortunately African-American writers that we introduced to young people all over the city of Memphis, Mississippi, and Arkansas, so that they could have dreams that they aspire to be writers. So that was something very, I think, God-given to me that I'm grateful for. But my true passion is that of writing. And most of my writing has been in the field or genre of faith-based fiction. I started out writing under Kensington Urban Books. Carl Weber signed me to my first 5-figure book deal, and I went on to put out 7 books under that label before I left them, and I went independent, and I've been independent ever since. I was also an editor for them, and now I'm a freelance editor, and I help other authors publish their works, edit their works, get their works through the full spectrum of publication if they want to be an independent author. My latest book is part of a 10-book series, the My Son's Wife series. And the latest book in that series just was released on my birthday. That was book 10, and that was released July 20th, which I'm very proud of that book. But Tonight I was just going to discuss one of my freestanding books, share with you one of my freestanding books, which is called The Truth About Sister Brianna. And that's part of my what I call Shorts by Sheila books. Those books are books that are no more than 125 pages that are meant to be read, whether you want to read it electronically or whether you want to read it, a short read that you can read while you're sitting at your doctor's office and you don't want to go into a full-length novel. So that's what these stories are geared toward. So The Truth About Sister Brianna was released back in April, and it is another one of my favorite stories, one of my freestanding stories that I really like. And the main character in this is a young lady by the name of Brianna. She's a middle school teacher. Her name is Brianna Madison, but she hides behind the mask of her disability. She's bound by a wheelchair, held hostage by her emotions. Her self-esteem is shot, and her belief in love is non-existent. Will she ever stop running from herself and from love? Is love the cure-all, or will her web of lies and secrets destroy any chance she has to heal from her past and claim what the future has for her? Now, do you want me to continue, LaShaunda? Do I want to go on and read an excerpt, or did I need to pause for a moment?
You can read the excerpt. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I'm going to read a short excerpt from The Truth About Sister Brianna. And this is taken from chapter 6 of the book. And one of the things I say is a trademark for my writing, I love quotations. So most of the books by Sheila Bell, you're going to see are always the chapters are always headed with quotations. And this is no different. So chapter 6, the excerpt, the quotation says, healing doesn't mean the damage never existed. It means the damage no longer controls our lives, and that's unknown. A booming sound jarred Brianna abruptly from her sleep. She tried to ignore it, but instead she tossed and turned as the storm's intensity increased. Her weather alert going off on her phone made her even more frightened. Storms caused her much distress and reminded her of when she was a little girl in Haiti. There were so many times she found no shelter from the fierceness of the storms and torrential rains. Then there were the earthquakes in Haiti that destroyed the very ground beneath her. She shivered in the bed, but not from being cold, because it was nice and warm inside. She looked around the perimeter of her bedroom and grew frightened as the thunderstorm raged outside. She pulled the bed covers up around her neck, hugged herself, and began to quote one of her favorite passages of Scripture. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. And when you pass through the rivers, they will not sweep over you. When you walk through the fire, you will not be burned. The flames will not set you ablaze. Another booming sound of thunder resounded just as she finished reciting the Scripture. Brianna jumped. The alert went off on her phone again as rain pounded against the windows and lightning lit up her room. Moments later, she heard the blaring sound of the tornado siren, and her heart beat against her chest like someone trying to get inside. She picked up her phone, swiped the alert with her finger to the right to silence it. Then, without thinking, she called Trey. Closing her eyes, she reasoned with herself to calm down when his phone went to his voicemail. What was she thinking anyway? Why would she call him, especially at this time of morning? Thank you, God, for not letting that call go through. All I need is you. All I need is you, she repeated as she laid the phone down next to her. The storm didn't ease up until just before daylight. Yet, even when the thunder and lightning stopped, the rain continued to come down in sheets. Brianna had very little sleep, but thank God it was Saturday and she didn't have to get up and go to work. Instead, she got up, made a cup of coffee and a bowl of grits, something her mother used to prepare when she and Aspen were small. Her mother would make them toasting grits with lots of butter and hunks of melting sharp cheddar cheese. It was delicious. Now just about every weekend, Brianna made the same thing. Some people like sugar on their grits. She did. She liked the saltiness of the grits mixed with the sweetness of the butter. It was one of the few good memories she had of her mother. Sitting at the 4-seat breakfast table, she quietly ate, still somewhat apprehensive and on edge from the rain that started up again and was coming down harder. Rounds of thunder returned and lightning flashed. Even the sun remained hidden and daylight looked more like dusk. She sipped on her coffee while she tried to take her mind off what was going on outside by removing her phone from the side pocket of her pajama top and placing it onto the table. Slowly, she scrolled through the news and then visited her social media sites. She could always rely on a video or two of some crazy meme to get her mind off unpleasant thoughts. This morning was no different. She laughed when she saw a hilarious meme of one of the television celebrities. Her phone rang while she scrolled. "Hi, Daddy," she answered with a smile when she saw it was him. She loved her father with all of her heart. He had never remarried since their mother walked out on them, but he was seeing a woman from his church named Danielle, who he adored. Brianna liked Danielle. She made her father happy, something Brianna desperately wanted for him. Her father was still a relatively young man in her eyes, not yet 60 years old. She prayed he would find someone special to love him. Hopefully he had found that in Danielle. "Hi, Sweet Pea, are you okay out there?" "You know me so well, Daddy, but I'm good. I'm sitting here eating grits and toast and drinking coffee. I just wish it would stop, that's all. Tell you what, why don't I come there and stay with you until it settles down?" "No, Daddy, I don't want you to drive all the way from Covington with it storming like it is outside. I'm going to finish eating and then put my earbuds in and watch Netflix or listen to an audiobook. That way I won't hear a thing. You know I worry about you, sweetheart." "I know, but please don't worry about me, Daddy. I'm fine. How was the Deacons and Elders retreat? Did you enjoy it?" "Yes, it was awesome." She could hear his light laughter on the phone. It made her feel good to know he was finally letting go of his past and moving toward having a happy future with someone else. "Yes, we sought the Lord in prayer, and we learned a lot about the roles and responsibilities of deacons and elders." "Well, I'm glad you had a good time." They exchanged conversation for at least 15 minutes, which helped take Brianna's mind off what was going on outside. "Remember, honey, if you want me to drive down there, just let me know, and I'll hop in my truck and be on my way." "I know you will, but I'm good. For real. I love you, Daddy. Tell Miss Danielle I said hi." "I will. Bye, Sweet Pea." "Bye, Daddy." Brianna finished eating, went into the living room, got her earbuds, and put her phone on Pandora. After an hour or so, she pressed recline on her chair, closed her eyes, and allowed the music to soothe her. Thoughts of her past brought unexpected sadness over her. The darkness brought on by the storm was the perfect complement to the darkness that raged inside her soul. Tears appeared without warning. Her chest rose and fell in perfect sync with each tear that fell. Sometimes she didn't like herself. This was one of those times when she was all alone, hurting mentally and angry with herself for not being able to let go of her past. No matter how many times she'd been told or heard, God makes no mistakes and all things work out for good, it was days like today when every last one of those words fell on deaf ears. The Truth About Sister Brianna by Sheila E. Bell. And that's it.
Thank you. That was a really good excerpt.
Thank you.
You ready, Miss Mary?
Yes, I am. I am Mary Ann Finley, and I have been writing since I was a little girl, growing up in Oklahoma. Yes, there are black people in Oklahoma. And I didn't publish anything until I was 48 years old. Everyone had kept telling me that I needed to all of my life, but I didn't take the leap of faith and publish. I published independently in 2012, my first novel, when I was 48. Like I said, I published Thicker Than Blood, which is a novel. It's a mystery novel. It's a family drama novel, and it was well received. I was so glad. And then I wrote the second one, Thicker Than Blood 2, in 2017. So it took me a while. 5 years to write the second one. I'm not one of those writers who write fast. And then this is the third novel that I wrote, one I'm speaking about today, called All Right at the Same Time. Writing to me is about keeping it real, about the people in this world. Truth is stranger than fiction. So I always take into account something that can realistically happen and give people something to think about, maybe to convict them about, that they might change their thinking or think about changing their thinking. This novel is about two couples, Mary Ann and her husband, Ray. They were college sweethearts, and they got married right after college. They've been married for 7 years when this novel takes place, and they're going through that 7-year itch and having some complications in their marriage because of the complications they're having within themselves. The other couple is a lesbian couple, Jordan and Carrie. They grew up together, and they have been friends ever since they were born almost. And they went to college, and they realized that they both were lesbians, and they came out. And so the third character is Miss Lorraine, which is Carrie's mother. Lorraine is the common denominator between Ray and Mary Ann and Carrie and Jordan, because Mary Ann meets Lorraine at a bus stop. That's how the book starts. She's a neighbor of Lorraine's, and they meet at a bus stop on the hill. So it's very interesting how these two couples come together and how they become closer to one another. I'm going to be reading an excerpt from Chapter 4 of All Right at the Same Time, and I hope that the listeners will enjoy my excerpt. Here we go. Jordan eyed Lorraine and squinted. Lady, have you lost your damn mind talking to Carrie like that? You're in my home, Lorraine shouted. Mind your respect. What I state is truth according to the word of God. She tapped her Bible. She being punished for her sins. I tried to warn you two. Knew sooner or later the chastisement would come. Carrie had avoided this day for as long as she could. They sat in Lorraine's condo, one Carrie practically never visited, but paid monthly mortgage on. She looked around and smiled. Every piece of Lorraine's living room furniture was covered with plastic. If people only knew what growing up with her mother was like. As usual, the temperature was sauna-like as she and Jordan sat on a dark red couch that was sprinkled with blue dots. Carrie wore cutoffs, and the plastic was sticking to her bare legs. Jordan stood up and put her hands on her hips. You're an evil old woman. How the hell your only child tell you she's fighting cancer and you respond with that bull? What kind of God do you serve? Lorraine began rocking back and forth as if Mahalia Jackson was on constant replay in her mind. She got to repent. I love you so much, Carrie, but done told you time and time again, what y'all do is unnatural and not pleasing to God. Carrie bowed her head and twisted her wedding ring around on her finger. If Daddy was here, you wouldn't be saying that. She looked back up with tears in her eyes. All my life, all I've ever wanted was your unconditional love, but you never gave it. You didn't even come to our wedding. She moaned. I have stage 3 cancer, Mama. It's tearing me up inside. Don't you care? Of course, child. Lorraine eased off the recliner, walked over and patted Carrie's face. I don't understand your living, but if you die before I do, they might as well dig 2 holes instead of 1. You my baby. Always will be. The 2 women embraced. Lorraine stroked Carrie's back for a few minutes and then stiffened. I'm going to get my oil, she announced, on the way to her bedroom. The hell you say, Jordan replied. let's get out of here before your mama starts speaking in tongues and rebuking us like she did on our wedding night. I'm not in the mood for her nonsense. Georgia stepped to the door. When Carrie didn't budge, she threw her hair and bag over her shoulder and rolled her eyes. I'll be waiting in the car. She walked out and slammed the door. Lorraine returned to the living room with a small glass bottle in her hand, and Carrie folded her arms. Mama, please don't start that crazy stuff, okay? I didn't come here to be prayed over. She scooted back on the couch. I respect your beliefs, always have, but you can't seem to respect mine. What do you believe, Carolyn Marie? Lorraine gave Carrie a blank stare. Not this. My scars from that one night are deeper than the ocean. Carrie closed her eyes. It's like it happened yesterday for me. Lorraine started pacing. If you would have had faith then, you wouldn't be suffering right now. Mama, I was 12 years old. If Daddy hadn't heard about it and came to get me, Lorraine looked at Carrie and grimaced. He'd have talked to me for over a week after what you did. What I did? Carrie stood and made a beeline towards the door with Lorraine on her heels. You chose to stay in your sinful ways, and George didn't make it no better, Lorraine said, acting like he approved of you putting on having relations with women. Carrie did an about face and glared eye to eye with her mother. One woman. Get it straight, Mama. One woman. I was a virgin until age 19 when Jordan and I decided to live our truth and not anyone else's. She's the only person, male or female, I've given my body to. Yet you always talk about me like I'm a whore. She cocked her head to one side. So how many men did you sleep with before you married Daddy? Lorraine pursed her lips. Don't ask me a question like that. It was too long ago and none of your business. You're right, and neither is it your business what goes on in my bedroom. Carrie wiped her eyes. I'm 40 now. But no matter how successful I've been personally or professionally, you're still ashamed of me, Mama. That's not real love. She opened the door. There's a gift coming for you in the mail soon. I'll keep you informed of my health situation. She kissed her mother's jaw and left. That's my excerpt for All Right at the Same Time.
Thank you. That was really good. You know your mama needs business when she say the whole name. Miss Kennedy, you ready?
Yes, ma'am. I was born ready.
All right.
So good evening again. My name is Kendy Ward, and I am a Christian fiction author. I just want to thank LaShaunda again for having me on the podcast this evening. And I was just thinking about, how long I've known LaShaunda. So we know you ain't new to this. You true to this. So thank God for longevity for you in the literary field. So as I said, I'm a Christian fiction author. My first work was published in 2001 in a BET anthology called All That and Then Some, and I was a winner of the BET's First-Time Writers Competition, and then I wasn't published again until 2015 with Oh Romeo, Romeo, which was the first book in the Night and Damage Armor series. My current book is Only One Night, which is the second book in the Night and Damage Armor series, and I'm like Miss Sheila, where not Miss Sheila, Miss Mary, where I take a long time to finish writing books. So that was 2015, and that was 2020, and it's a third book, and hopefully it won't be 2025 before I finish it. Hopefully, I pray. I'm 2/3 of the way through with it, so I think it'll be out next year. So this is Only One Night. I'm going to read the blurb, and then I'm going to read an excerpt. Money answers all things, but what if the answer is hate? The text isn't strong enough to describe the emotions Priscilla DeVoe harbors towards the filthy rich man who recklessly fathered and tossed her away like the trash her mother cleaned as a housekeeper in the family's mansion. Rejected and shunned by the worlds of excess she fails to fit into, the stunning Bahamian high school counselor wears freedom on her sleeve and rebuffs anything and anyone connected to wealth without remorse, until the father of one of the unruly students she counsels collides with the staunch morals she fiercely defends. When his daughter's behavior spirals out of control, millionaire Randy Knight wanders into Bahamas Baptist Academy for a conference, uncertain what to expect. He certainly didn't expect to find love in brilliant and beautiful Priscilla, or to risk losing her because he walks away from God. Can Priscilla and Randy overcome the barriers which bind them, or will they find they are truly unequally yoked? So this is an excerpt from the first chapter of Only One Life. Priscilla took a seat in one of the booths. The leather seats were black, and so were the tables. She was surprised to see each table decorated with a bouquet of live red roses. She watched the band take the stage for sound check. It was an hour before the lounge opened for the evening. The restaurant closed at 3 o'clock after lunch and opened again at 7 for dinner. She looked around, wondering who else would be getting on the mic tonight. She received instructions to be at the venue an hour early for sound check, but didn't see any of the other poets or the event organizers for that matter. That wasn't unusual. People and things in Nassau were never on time. They call it island time. She called it disrespect. The band had been jamming for about 20 minutes when the event people started to trickle in. She recognized the tall, dark-skinned brother with the afro as Will, one of the island's most popular poets. No, not one of. The most prolific and influential poet in the Caribbean. Her stomach took a dive. This guy has won the Commonwealth Poetry Prize 5 years running, first place in the entire Commonwealth of Great Britain. There were 16 countries in the British Commonwealth, and Will came first out of the thousands of poets from these 16 nations. As the winner of the Bahamas National Poetry Competition, Will represented the Bahamas well at the CPP with 5 consecutive wins, but she wanted to win. She wanted his spot. And as they said on the island, she wanted it bad, bad. She recognized a couple of other poets she had seen at some of the spoken word events she had been to. Please, Lord, help me. I want this. I know that I can do all things through you because you have empowered me. Priscilla looked up from her quick prayer, and Chris Dorset, one of the producers of the Avery and the AM radio show, waved at her. She wondered what he was doing here. The show was a morning show, and it was in morning. She wished Avery of Avery and the AM and one of her best friends would have given her a heads up that Chris would be there. It was always way awkward seeing him after rebuffing his advances. She smiled and waved back. Chris was cool. He was dope, down to earth, but she wasn't interested in him romantically because he was boring. Unfortunately, he had been trying to get with her since the first moment they had met 7 years ago. Priscilla noticed he was headed her way, and her eyes darted about looking for an escape route. Praise God, he was intercepted by someone who looked like he had just walked off the pages of GQ magazine. He wore brown shoes that looked spit shine and a blue suit that had to be custom made. It fit the stranger as if it were made for him alone. The gentleman wore a yellow, blue, and white plaid shirt paired boldly with a yellow paisley tie. A yellow pocket square folded with precision rested in his left breast pocket, and a little yellow flower adorned his lapel. Priscilla spied cufflinks. Men still wear cufflinks? Mr. GQ made Priscilla feel grossly underdressed in her T-shirt, maxi skirt, and sandals. This brother looked like he ran stuff. Actually, he looked like he ran everything, like he could run the country if it was based on nice suits, cufflinks, and commanding a room. He looked up from his conversation with Chris, and their eyes locked. Priscilla felt as if all the air had been sucked out of her. The intense gaze of his piercing eyes took her breath away. Corny, yes, but it was true. The man was handsome, tall, at least 6'3", fit in that go-to-the-gym workout kind of way, not in that acquired from manual labor kind of way. No, this dude didn't look like he was into any kind of manual anything. His skin was the color of hot chocolate, her favorite thing to drink. He was fine, but it wasn't just beauty. Something else that she could not yet identify or name caused her heart to race a little faster when their eyes met. When someone tapped her on her shoulder, breaking her connection with the handsome, well-dressed stranger, she felt relieved. The stage manager introduced herself and let Priscilla know that she would be up for sound check in 5 minutes. That's an excerpt from Only One Night.
All right, y'all did some good excerpts today. Thank you. All right. So I always just since we've been in COVID, my first question has been, how has COVID affected you as a writer and as a person? Start with Sheila.
Okay.
Well, as a writer, I believe you know what? It really hasn't affected me. Because, and I say that because as a person and as a writer, I'm really confined mostly inside anyway. You know, when I'm not writing, I'm editing other people's work and, you know, doing publishing for other people. So I'm always really about my craft, and that calls for me to be inside. And again, because of my physical limitations, I'm an inside person unless I'm out in my chair or something, or my son gets me and I'm out like that. So as far as my environment and what I do, it hasn't affected me. But it has this last book that I wrote, not The Truth About Sister Brianna, but the one that is the 10th book in the My Son's Wife series. I did find myself incorporating the COVID-19 portion of that it had just started. In my book, the COVID-19 the pandemic was just taking off. So I found that challenging because, you know, to write about something that you're learning about and is continually changing. But other than that, to know that I'm confined is difficult because, you know, it's different than saying, okay, I work at home, like many people work at home. But to say that I have to work at home, it gives me another different mentality because now I feel like, okay, I don't like to be pressured and be bossed around because I guess that goes back to me as a black woman, you know, and growing up in the segregated South. You know, I don't like all of that. Don't be trying to tell me where I can't go, what I can't do, and all of that. So it has affected me in that way when I do want to get out.
Okay, I see that. It's interesting because I know a lot of people didn't want to write about COVID, and a couple of books have been popping up. I had one crazy book this lady wrote about, and everybody was talking about the book, and I was like, the thing about writing is that you have to find the audience for it, and everybody was talking about how horrible the book was and all this, but I was like, but people buying it. So, you know, I'm not even going to say the name of it, so you can't go look for it. But I always look at things from a promotion standpoint because I hear all the time, oh, nobody's buying my books, so I can't find readers. You know, and I'm looking at this lady, she had 26 reviews. You know, and people were buying the book, and the reason I was talking about it was because I had like 6 or 7 people had shared it in my feed, and I was like, now, you want to complain that nobody is buying your book, but this lady is selling a book about a COVID, and I'm not going to talk about it. But I was like, you know what, we have no excuses because I'm telling you, you can't say nobody review books because that lady had 26 reviews. 26, and most people can't get one, you know, and you know, and she probably hadn't done any promotion. The people talking about the book was giving her free promotion. That's what, you know, you don't have to pay for promotion. You can get free promotion if your book is hot enough. It's a good story. People are going to talk about it, you know, and I think a lot of people miss that. They're so busy upset about who hasn't bought their book that they don't celebrate the people who did buy their book. Because, you know, I always tell people, if one person bought your book, you are a writer, keep it going. You know, if your books is in the closet like mine, then no. You got to get them out. You can't complain. So I look forward to seeing what you have to say about the COVID, because this has been a mother, I tell you. Miss Mary, how's COVID treating you?
As a writer, it's an interruption from my time for writing because I'm also an executive director of a 501c3, and I had to adjust to find a way to continue our services. That took up so much of my time when it first started. Oh, my goodness. We had to shut down. We had to go remote. Everything that the school system had to do, we had to do. But we were able to survive those first few months. But it interrupted my personal time to take care of my other stream of income, which is writing. So that's how it affected my writing. Now it's slowed down some. I've got everything under control as the executive director of my nonprofit. So I'm getting ready to shut down a little bit come January 1st through March 1st and finish this third installment to Thicker Than Blood. It'll be the last one. It's going to be a trilogy. So this is the third one. But, yeah, that's how it's affected me. I didn't mind being at home. My job is I'm in the position of leadership, so being able to work from home is something that I can do anytime. So it really didn't affect me as far as not wanting to stay inside. But, yeah, that's how it affected me as a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's been an ordeal at my job. So.
Yeah. Trying to go virtual was very hard for a lot of people because they just wasn't ready. A lot of people had avoided it. So then when you're faced with it, then you got to, come up to it. I had a lot of people who didn't even have internet at home. So now they got to get internet.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Right. So if nothing else, COVID has taught us to handle change, even when you don't want to.
Yeah.
Change is a lot of people have a hard time with change. I know I think I don't have a hard time, but I do. It's difficult when you have a routine of doing stuff, and then you got to change it completely around to do something different. So yeah, it definitely gave people a hard time this year. How about you, Kendy?
Well, for me personally, how it affected me, I think when we first got into it and things were locked down, I live in South Florida, and things were locked down, and there were days where I didn't leave the house and I didn't see anybody, and I started to say, man, and I live by myself, and I was like, man, I'm lonely, and then I had to snap myself out of it. What are you talking about, Kendy? You live by yourself. This is regular for you. But I think it's like Sheila was saying that, when somebody tells you you can't go out or you can't have anybody over, then it's like a different thing. So that was an adjustment for me. And I was just so happy when things opened back up and I could go outside and at least get out the house. One day I just went and sat on my steps just to get out the house. So that was the adjustment on the personal side. As far as work, I work in an essential industry, so work never stopped. I worked remotely at first only, and then now I'm remote and in the office part-time. And then as far as writing, it didn't really affect my writing. I write, late at night, so it didn't affect that at all. But it was just on the personal part of adjusting to the restraints and confinement and the being alone part,
That's good. It didn't affect your writing. That's good. Because I was kind of bummed for a while. So most of the people that I've been interviewing have had a hard time with finding their creative side. So how are you ladies finding readers in COVID?
Well, I guess for me, this is Sheila. For me, what has saved me, I already have a reader base, and I think that's what's important about, I've been in the industry for such a long time, so I already have a built-in reader base, people who are looking for my work. but I also use social media and people just like you and doing this podcast and things like that to try to stay relevant and stay out there, continuing to just promote as much as I can, even though I do not like it. I don't like social media. I don't like promoting. I don't like any of it. I just like writing. And I wish that it could just magically do everything else itself. Hey, but I have to do what I have to do.
I agree.
Yeah, but and so in this industry, I guess in this day and time, I think for us as writers, really we still should be in a pretty good place because we can do so much online these days versus when I first got in the industry. There were no e-books. I hope that sounds so ancient, doesn't it? But anyway, there weren't e-books yet. So, and audiobooks weren't, you didn't hear about audiobooks. I mean, audiobooks were really for more of those, of the, motivational type of audios. So you didn't just hear about just audiobooks then. So now, though, they have so many ways that we can just shoot an email. We can get LaShaunda Hoffman of SORMAG to promote our work, so we can outsource. There's so many things that we can do without having to do the traditional, having to try to find a bookstore to go. I've done all that, been there, done that, like that. But I don't have to do that anymore. So I think right now, whether you're a new author, aspiring author, or whether you're a veteran author, in today's industry, there is no excuse for you not being able to get readers. It just isn't. Because now, does that mean everybody's going to like your work? I didn't say that, no. But there's those people that do. You need to be trying to find out who those people are. And you, believe me, just like we said, there are people at home, there are people now who are probably reading even more because they're confined and they're bound. And so sometimes picking up a book or picking up your Kindle or your phone or tablet is their saving grace. And, hey, why can't it be one of your books?
For me,
I'm so glad that you said that because I think people need to hear that. I am old school. When I started, there wasn't no social media, so yeah, I'm back in them old days. It wasn't e-books. We just had good old books. you got good old books once a month, once a year. No, once a year. Books was coming out once a year. You wasn't getting no books every month, and all you had was the post office. That's how you got stuff. You mailed it to the person or whatever. You bought it that way, or you went into a bookstore and bought things. And when they shut stuff down, you really couldn't leave out your house. And you had to, like I said, you got to change. How are you getting your books? How are you attracting people? How are you getting in front of people? And a lot of people who resisted the social media had a hard time. And those who adapted to it, like you, Sheila, you had a readership. Having a readership is a blessing because you don't have to reinvent the wheel every time you go out and put a book out. You got hundreds of people that say, hey, let me check this book out. People who put out books this year, if you didn't have a readership, you had a really hard time reaching new people because you didn't know what to do. People who were seasoned, they were putting out 3 or 4 books. I was like, okay. Because they already had their readership and they knew that their readers was at home and needing something to read. And, some of my clients they was like, these last couple of months has been their highest months they've had because their readers are at home reading their books. And so, like you said, if you, this time, I'll tell people that this has been I would say bittersweet time for me. I have had an amazing year as a writer. Personally, it's been crazy, but my writing part has been great because I am a virtual woman. So everything I was doing was already on virtual online. So I'm getting invited to different things. I'm selling books, I'm like, wow, Amazon, okay, I'm not getting that $5 ticket. Because people were buying books. My book's been out 5 years. People was buying because got time to learn how to do some promotions. So,
right.
So I'm just really happy to hear you say that, because so many people looked at this the wrong way. They thought, oh my goodness, the bookstores are closed, everything is shut down, I'm not going to have a successful time, when they could have pivoted and tried something different, Get online, try different things online. So you missed out on that, but you still got time, because I don't think we're going to be going anywhere for a while. So get my book and learn some things to do. All right. Mary, how was it for you? How will you read your new readers?
I am along the lines of Sheila. I have readership, and so they are always pushing me to get the third book in my Thicker Than Blood. That is the book that really got me on the map, and so my readers, they are really like, some of them are upset, but I hurry up to write this book, That's the way they were with the second book, now with the third one, because it just takes me time to write. But they put a page on Facebook that is a fan page just for Thicker Than Blood. That's how popular that series is. So that's a blessing. And so when I'm writing, I have a readership already that's waiting for me to get through, like Sheila said, with my books. The other thing is that when I was first starting out in 2012, I did the bookstore book signings. I did book signings at church. I did book signings at libraries. But I really appreciate this online avenue, because it has brought so many other readers to me, specifically on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. It has really helped. It has really helped me to be able to use the World Wide Web to get to know people and to promote my books. I always tell, because I am also by profession, I assist people with becoming published authors, an editor, a proofreader, and a ghostwriter. And I always tell my authors that are trying to get published, if you have this mentality that if I write it, they will come and buy it, then you're never going to sell a book. You've got to advertise. If people don't know you have a book out there, they're not going to buy it. So I try my best to stay on top of advertising my book. I really do. But yeah, I'm thanking God for the readership that I already have. And they tell somebody. I just sold a couple of books. I'm one of the people, I put in a car, books at home, like shopping in the closet. But I sell books. Somebody asked me if I have a book out. Yes, I do. When I first started out, I didn't do that. And I'm thinking, man, that's crazy. You should always have copies of your novels. If somebody asks you, can they buy one directly from you, you should be able to go and get one and say, yes, here it is. And I tell my authors that. I tell my authors that too. Yes, that you got to hustle and get the book, get your name out there. It's about work. You got to put in the work.
Mm-hmm. I always say keep a couple books in your car, because you never know. I put 2 in my purse just in case. You never know. You never know. Yeah. How about you, Kennedy?
So unlike Sheila and Mary, I do not have a readership, but I just think that with social media, actually levels the playing field for you to reach readers. It's a way that we can reach readers. It's a way that we can reach readers anywhere. So just really staying on social media, connecting with readers groups on social media, posting videos, and just really engaging readers and going where they are on social media is a tool that I use. So I'm trying to build my readership.
Mhm. That's good.
So may I say something about that?
Mhm. Go ahead.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Kennedy. Now you said you don't have a readership, but now are your books selling?
Yeah, they're selling. Yes.
Okay.
They're not selling like I would like them to, but
okay,
they
that
are
means,
selling.
Well, first of all, let's just dispel the fact that you don't have a readership. You do have a readership. We just have to, or what I I shouldn't say we. You just have to, I guess, now narrow down, find out. Your thing is to find out and capture your readership. So you may not know. No, you may not know names and all of that, but that's where we come in. I don't know how if you have your website, and these are things that LaShaunda talks about too. But as far as your website, as far as capturing emails, asking people to sign up, give them your email address, let them sign up for updates. You have to get out there. Right, that's how you begin to establish your readership. But you have a readership. Somebody is interested in that book. Somebody's buying your books. We just have to identify who they are and target those people. And because when your books come out, somebody's buying them. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
She beat me to the punch because I was going to say, excuse me. And I just say, if one person bought your book, then you got a reader. That's your readership.
Okay, that's true. That's true. I can see.
When you first release and nobody knows who you are, then you don't have a readership. But as soon as somebody buys your book, then your readership begins. And that's what my book says, one reader at a time, because that's how you get them, one reader at a time. So you might not know how to get back in front of them, but they already know about you. So they're going to
Yeah.
That's a good one. They know about her. We may not know who they are. You may not know who they are, but they know you.
They know you. And then back in the old days, before internet and all that stuff, the only way we get in touch with an author was to write them letters. Now, some people wrote, I'm some people, I wrote letters. Some people wrote letters, some people did. But the only way we could find out about the books was if we was on the publishing newsletter, if they sent out a newsletter, or we had somebody we went to the bookstore and we could ask the bookstores if they had the new books or whatever. Or back in the day, the writers would send us a postcard. If I wrote you a letter, then you put me on your actual mailing list, your post office mailing list, and you would send me a card and say, hey, this new book is coming out. That's how you gather people. And that was one of the lessons that I learned as a reader is you have to gather your readership. And it takes time. It's not easy, but everybody that's following you on social media, you ask them to join your mailing list so you can get in front of them. You ask them. You constantly asking them to join your mailing list. When you put out a book, in the back of your book, you put that in there. Join my mailing list. You want to know when my new book comes out? Join my mailing list and you'll know. You can tell them to go to your social media, but social media owns that. When you start your mailing list, you own your mailing list. Right. I'm telling you, your mailing list is what sells your book. That's how you keep in touch with everybody. If social media shut down, you still could get in front of your people and say, hey, I got a book releasing this Friday. You ready? You can put that on social media and only one person will see it. So, I'm a big proponent for mailing, for your email list, because that's how you know who's actually following you. But you have a readership. You might not know who they are, but they know who you are. And so, and don't say that, because your readers out there are going to be like, what she mean? Who am I? I don't mean nothing.
I'm not talking about those readers.
Because, that's how people feel. People are very protective of their authors. When they want to be known that their authors got fans. And it's very important. You might think it's not, they don't care, but they do. They waiting on that next book. This girl takes forever, but when it comes out, I'm getting it. That's your readership. You have a readership. You do. I have clients that say that all the time. They think they don't, but if you don't have a readership if ain't nobody buying nothing. If you getting that zero royalty check, then no, you don't have a readership. You don't. You can. I've worked with people who had 6 or 7 books online and they weren't selling nothing. They had 6 books, but they weren't selling anything. And it was because they didn't know who their reader was and how to get in front of them. Just because you put a book on Amazon doesn't mean people are going to buy it. And people have a problem with it because they think if they upload it to Amazon, all the money coming. And it doesn't work.
It's going to sell itself. Nope. Yeah.
No, don't nobody know you put something up there but you. and maybe your editor, they might know, and they excited. You got, now it's your time to go out and tell people. I have a friend that she put her book up there, and then I said, well, what happens next? Well, Amazon is going to promote it for me. I said, okay. Okay, that's called not doing your research, because everybody know Amazon ain't promoting you unless you making them some money. You just put a book up there, you ain't made them a dime, so they not helping promote your book. But once you start promoting and they start seeing you selling lots of books, then yes, they want to work with you, they want to help promote you. But you got to get to that stage. You can't assume that that's going to happen with your first book putting it out there. And you can't promote once a week thinking you're going to make some money. It doesn't work that way. Get a system and promote. If it's 3 times a week, that's 3 times a week people see you. But promoting once a month is not going to sell anything. It's not. Yeah. I tell my clients all the time, look at what comes into your email. Look at what's on TV. Dominoes don't come on once a month. Dominoes come on,
exactly,
every 3 or 4 times.
Every hour.
They say, hey, she's hungry at lunchtime. We might even get you a pizza and breakfast. Come on, what you want? You can't wait till the last minute. Talking about some, my book release today. I see people do that all the time. My book release today. Are you serious? And then guess what they do? They put the cover up there and no link. I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be mean. I try not to be mean. I might send them a message and I go, where's the link? Oh, LaShaunda, Facebook doesn't like you to put links on there. Who told you that? Who told you that? Who said that? I've been putting links on my pages forever. They have not put me in jail, knock on some wood, but they haven't. But you're making it so hard for your readers, for your potential readers to find you. Ain't nobody going to search you on Facebook, on Amazon. They gonna click the link. That's what they like. They hit the link, and they're gonna go look at the book and see, okay, if it's in my price range, is this talking about what I want to read? Let me buy it. But if they see, oh, that's a pretty picture, guess what? They're gonna stroll on by. Because don't nobody got time for that. We're just instant people. You want to make it as easy as possible for your readership. As easy as possible. You either going to order it from Amazon or you're going to order it from my page. And you want to make it as simple as possible. Hit the button and go through and they done. And then they get their book in the mail, or they get an ebook on their Kindle or Nook. When you try to make it difficult for them, they're going to move on to the person who doesn't make it difficult for them.
Yeah.
They ain't got time for you. If you don't want to work with Amazon, that's fine. But you got to make sure that you have it possible where when they click the ebook, it comes to their stuff. You don't want to click the book and then they got to go download it. Then they got to take it back to their Kindle. Then they got to load it to the Kindle. They don't want to do all that. So you got to make it as easy as possible for them. So Kennedy, you got a readership, girl. We just got to help you build.
Okay.
And you know where to find me.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, I do.
So, all right, ladies, can you tell us how we can find you all online?
Yes, you can find me. This is Sheila. You can find me at my website, sheliawritesbooks.com. That's sheliawritesbooks.com. You can also find me on Instagram at Sheila Bell. And that's also my Twitter handle, Sheila E. Bell, and Facebook, Sheila Writes Books.
Okay.
And this is Mary. My website is Mayran Speaks Productions, LLC.com. My Instagram is Mary Ann Finley. My Facebook, I have a personal page under Mary Finley, and a business page on the Mayran Speaks Productions, LLC. And I also have my group page that my fans made for Thicker Than Blood, and that is what it's called, Thicker Than Blood fan page. So either way, you can contact me or see me on any of those resources.
Mm-hmm.
You can reach me on my website, kendyward.com. I'm on Instagram at Queen Kendy Ward. On Facebook, Kendy Ward. On Twitter, Kendy Ward.
All right. Well, I have one last question for you ladies. So if someone released their book during COVID, what advice would you give them to help them promote their book?
Contact SORMAG, LaShaunda Hoffman.
Ditto. I ditto that.
All right.
I would just say make sure that you understand just because you write it does not mean the readers are going to come. So put yourself out there in social media, in the web, World Wide Web, as much as possible on whatever outlet that you have at your fingertips. It's that easy.
Mm-hmm.
Promote.
Good advice.
I ditto all of the above.
Okay. All right. Well, ladies, I really appreciate you stopping by today and chatting with us. I hope our listeners got some good information from you today. I want to thank our sponsor, Tickle My Tummy by Ann Clay. Laughing not only lightens your spirit, but it also lengthens your life. Tickle My Tummy delights us in the small, easy to laugh at, hilarious, and sometimes ridiculous things people do and say. Stories of family, relationships, work, and yes, church sets the pace for the few moments of enjoyment. This collection is broken down into Love is in the Air, Family Feud, Going to Church, Women Rule, The Things Kids Say, Just Plain Old Stupid, and It's a Pet Thing. These delightful snippets will definitely add bubbles to your day. Get ready to laugh out loud at some of the most commonplaces, stories of ordinary people, relationships, situations, and living the best life. That's Tickle My Tummy by Ann Clay. Check the show notes for the link to order your copy. I want to thank our listeners for taking time to listen to the podcast. I have 3 questions for you. Did you enjoy this episode? If you did, subscribe to the platform you're listening to so you don't miss an episode. Number 2, what did you think of this episode? Tell us by writing a review on the platform you're listening to, or send to onesormag@gmail.com. Number 3, did you learn something from this episode? If you did, please share the podcast with your community. If you have a topic or would like to be a guest or sponsor for an episode, contact me at onesormag@gmail.com. One last question. Have you promoted your book or business today? If you haven't, go showcase those wings. Someone needs what you have to offer. This is LaShaunda Hoffman, and I'll see you on the next.